Hey, hi. I just want to give you a quick heads up that there's a 2-minute story that sets up the key takeaways. I promise I get to the point, but it takes me a little longer to tell the intro story. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, probably bad. But either way, that's it. Good luck with this. You'll need it. A funny thing happened to me on the way to my kid's music teacher. You see, I knew my kid had music sensibilities that were way better than mine, and I heard through the grapevine about this non-traditional music teacher. Now, my kid has had a few piano teachers before, really great teachers, but I was curious about this guy, a guy suspiciously named Joey Helpish. He didn't have any music books laying around. He didn't have a written up lesson plan, and there were guitars and keyboards and old iPads all around the room. I wondered if I'd made a mistake, like maybe this guy was full of shit. But this wasn't a mistake, and he wasn't full of shit. He just worked differently. First off, what struck me about him was how carefully he was looking for what excited my kid. And the other thing I remember about my kid's first few visits, like when the cool thing hit a snag and turned out harder than expected, when the beat was a little off, when she didn't quite hit the notes, he'd say, "No problem, totally fine, let's just make something terrible and do it again." This all seemed like so much fun that I asked him if he'd be willing to teach a bald dude with no musical skills how to music. And he said yes before I could self-humiliate my way out of it. That was about 2 years ago, and in those 2 years, he's taught me all kinds of things. For one, I actually learned a bit about music, like how music works a little bit. And at first, we experimented with me trying to play guitar and trying to sing, but I didn't like that so much. And then we wandered our way over to me doing this like neurotic, self-conscious rapping over some beats that he taught me how to create. Pandemic. I'm in a panic. Problematic in my attic. And then the virus came. And I got really into that. Like, I secretly released 4 albums even. But even more than the music, he has been a bit of a creative mentor for me. And 2 things that I love about his method that I want to share with you because I think it applies to any creative pursuit is 1, pay attention to where the energy is. And 2, something he says, make something terrible and do it again. Make something terrible and do it again. Both of these things are in the realm of things that I've been doing all my life in some way, but it helped me to watch him teach it and to better understand why these tenets are so valuable to me. Let me start with the energy part. Now, I think this is the key to starting any creative project. You have to really care about it. Just be all in, even if others think it's a ridiculous idea. One example for me is some number of years ago, when I was stuck on a novel draft I was working on, I decided to just take the weekend off of that project and just write a short story. So I scribbled one down one weekend. It was about a guy struggling to be a dad while also struggling at a job at a social media company when the guy totally hated social media. Anyway, I just shared the story with my agent just for the hell of it, and she said, "This story seems like you're having a lot of fun." And it was true. The story just shot out of me, and it was a blast to work on. It didn't hurt that I was miserable at a day job at a social media company while also struggling to be a dad. But anyway, I just decided to take the week off of work and just turn this thing into a novel. And I wrote the first draft of a novel in a week. It just blew out of me. And don't get me wrong, since then it's taken many drafts, hundreds, probably thousands of hours, tedious hours that weren't all fun and games. So the energy only goes so far, but still, it's so important to pay attention to where your energy is. And now on to item number 2. The first part is make something terrible. Now maybe for you the word terrible has too much of a judgment, but for me what I love about it is how disarming it is, especially because I get such bad stage fright when I think I'm performing or being graded on something. I rarely succeed when I think I gotta make something good. You tell me to write a good story, and both my arms will fall off pondering the impossibility of that task. You tell me to write something crappy, well, that takes the pressure off. The worries about how it will be received, that all goes away, and I can just get more into the project. Like maybe I can write about a guy who hates online social media, works at a social media company, and writes a book while hiding in the office bathroom, and then starts dating a woman who sells piggy banks on eBay, and for some reason bursts into tears anytime anyone mentions octopuses. I can write that story as long as I'm not worrying whether it's good or bad. So the make something terrible part is the more shocking part, and it's tempting to just focus on that detail, but it's the do it again part that fascinates me. And by do it again, it could mean that you throw out the thing you are working on and work on a whole new thing, but I like to think about it more broadly. Maybe it's just that you wake up the next morning and you work on the next scene, or you revisit the scene that isn't working, or you rethink it, or redraft it, or reimagine it, replot it, remodel it, reschedule it. Come at it from another angle. Maybe this is what I like about it. It's like, find a method, a habit that allows you to do this creative activity again and again and again. Because if you keep doing it again and again, you keep at it, you make it a habit, jibber jabbit, you quietly, unexpectedly, oddly, slowly learn a thing or two. You might even mistakenly make something good in the process. You know, this wasn't the first work story I had tried to write, but it was the first one that had this energy and felt worthy of getting to the end. And the first draft was pretty bad. The same goes for the second draft and the third draft and the fourth draft. But I got to something not terrible at the end. Something that a cool publisher even wanted to publish. The first draft was so bad that one character in the book even wanted to create an app that helped you pair beer with a movie, and the app was going to be called A Hops on Your Lips Now. Like Apocalypse Now.
That's still in the book.
Oh, anyway, you get the idea. You know, at first I questioned whether I could make a video that talks about Joey's energy thing, and then the terrible thing, and then the do it again thing. But I think they all work together because it's all about kind of paying attention, knowing yourself, finding the patterns so you can repeat it and become a better creator, but really more like a better human being. That's how I see it, and that's how I feel about it. That's how I hope it works. Yeah? By the way, this is like the fourth time I'm doing this video. The first three were pretty terrible.